All right. Attention. Surely I'm being turned by thee, O Allah, striving to be upright, who originated the heaven, and I am not of the polytheists. My prayer, my sacrifice, my life and death are all the Lord of the world, associate heaven. And this in my command, and I am those who commit. Allah, thou art the King, and there is no God but thee. My Lord, and I am thy servant. I have been greatly myself against faults, and I ask protection against my fault. For none can grant protection. That you would guide me to the best of morals, for none can guide to the best of morals but thee. And that you would turn from me the decent morals, for none can turn away the evil and the decent morals but thee. Allah, make Muhammad successful, and make the true followers of Muhammad successful, as you have made Abraham successful, and the true followers of Abraham successful, for surely you are praised and magnified. And Allah, bless Muhammad and bless the true followers of Muhammad, as you have blessed Abraham and the true followers of Abraham, for surely you are praised and magnified. Ameen.
Ameen.
In the most holy name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who came in a person of Master Farrakhan, Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever. I bear witness that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is his the Messiah, and I bear witness that the honorable brother Minister Farrakhan is their divine servant, warner, and guide in our midst. In the names that I greet you all with the greeting of paradise of Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Alaikum salam, sir.
Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special treat today. In our midst, we have first and foremost the Assistant Supreme Captain of the Nation of Islam, Brother Abdul, Azziz, Muhammad, and his most illustrious helpmeet friend, Mama Azziza, Muhammad. This brother and this sister are a very powerful couple, servants of the minister in our midst today. You don't have a greater bond that I've seen, except maybe an example of the minister and Mother Khadijah. And I genuinely, Brother Abdul Azziz, beyond his post as a servant, he is a true brother. He is a true friend, and he is a true helper. And he is probably one of the most prolific teachers on the planet. I have the being one of his students, one of his many students that he's taught over the years. But it says something about him because right next to his side is a very powerful, and it's interesting, typically you call a Black woman strong and she's absent of the feminine aspect, but Mother Azziza exudes both strong power, and she has the softest, sweetest touch that the contact with. And, they're also New Yorkian. That's not my area of expertise, which is why I'm going to hand over to my sister to take us further to our program.
Assalamu alaikum. It is so nice to see y'all. So to everybody who is here, again, welcome to your master Zoom call for this special edition that we have coming on the heels of our national training, where we are imbued with the spirit of what it is to be a soldier, to be a warrior. The two people who we'll get to hear from today are two people who really do exemplify that, as Brother Darren has said. And I'm personally super excited because, Brother Abdul Aziz is one of Brooklyn's finest, I have to say. And it's in my contract to mention Brooklyn at least once an hour. Like, it's right on schedule, just have to do it. But just the spirit of just getting to share. And I do have to just say, having to gotten to known Brother Abdul Aziz and Sister Azziza for a good portion of my life, that in them I see really great example of just truth, strength, right? So if you were at the national training or you saw a video of the national training, there was a whole lot of martial arts happening, a whole lot of strikes, techniques, and people being thrown around and tossed from one side of the room to another. But in the Nation of Islam is about not just that, it's about so much more than that. And our basis for is really spiritual edification. And that's to Brother Abdul Aziz and to Sister Azziza. That's why we're here. This community has been here now, came from Allah through the mind of Sister Anissa, who is also here. She can't go on camera right now, but she also sends you her greetings of Assalamu alaikum. And so this community started in June 4th, 2020. We've been going strong for 2 years and some change in the spirit and desire for spiritual edification on the heels of the pandemic as well. So without further ado, we really like to just get to like hear from you and learn from you. Would you like to jump straight into the questions? Because we have received some questions in advance. Would you like to introduce yourselves to the people? We're going to just vibe for the hour or so that we have together.
Well, no, we can go right into it. I mean, you know, in terms of who I am, it was mentioned by Brother Darren, and you know, I'm your brother. This is your sister, and we love the idea of family. You know, that's what I've been taught all of my years, and I'm a student, of course, of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I came up as a child under him, and he has always been a guiding light for me. I mean, even in the dark period, you know, to just hear his name was lifting. No matter what condition he was in, I mean, without his word, without his light, you know, it was absolutely dark. But he gave us enough. He gave me enough when I was a child to have the belief that, you know, there was something coming. There was going to be something better. And you know, I'm just appreciative as a student. I'm a graduate of Muhammad University. I graduated Muhammad University in 1975. I had just made, well, I was 16 actually in 74, from July of 74, but you know, that year in 74, we graduated and moved into 1975. So you know, it's just a blessing. I'm happy and excited, and I'm so happy that I have this lovely, lovely, lovely sister on my side. I mean, she's been my ride or die. You know, I should say ride and die, because she's gonna be there with me all the way through to the end. So, by Allah's grace and permission.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I don't know really what to say about myself, but I am glad to be here in the present. I'm happy that I'm a part of this magnificent nation and that I get to know and love and experience all of you and watch y'all do some wonderful things to make sure that this nation survives and moves at the pace that it needs to move in order for us to handle the mission in front of us. So I'm grateful to you, and I thank you for having me on the show with my great husband here.
All right, all praises due to Allah. We're gonna jump right into questions. So the first question is, what is BSK? Who is Dr. Moses Powell? And why is he relevant to this generation of Muslims, fighters, warriors, and believers in God?
Question.
Beautiful, beautiful. Actually, was that about 4 questions? Well, VSK is a system of martial arts. And the system of martial arts is actually produced from several styles of the art. You know, VSK, those are 3 different systems. That's all aligned into one. The first is the system of Vijitsu. Vijitsu Te, there is a Vijitsu Ru, and there's a V-Arnis Jitsu as it is now. But from the Vijitsu Te and the Vijitsu Ru, which is Ru means way up. So the way of Professor V. So it's Grand Professor V at this time, as I say. So Vijitsu is the way, the style of the master that produced it, which is Grand Professor Florindo Visitacion. So he is born, or was born, in the Philippines. And he was the one who actually got Dr. Musa Muhammad Moses Powell. He's the one who got him to begin his training under him. And it was absolutely fantastic. You know, he is absolutely fantastic. So you got Grand Professor V with Vijay, and then you have Dr. Moses Powell, Dr. Musa Muhammad, that out of Vijay produced a system called Sanukis, Ru Jiu-Jitsu. And Doc said that that means simplicity and survival. So
So you're gonna come to the mosque tomorrow?
You have you have again the two of them, and then you have out of them now. Okay, Doc was a student of Grand Professor V, and Soke, a student of Dr. Moses Powell. So this is the style that he produced. Out of that was Kumite Ru Jiu-Jitsu, and it's the art of fighting through the form of Jiu-Jitsu. So that's Soke Littlejohn Davis. Soke is a founder of a family. So Soke, that's his title, Littlejohn Davis. So you have those three, and you got the it's almost like the grandfather, the father, and the son. So I also am a direct student under Dr. Moses Powell. Yet during that time period, you know, Soke was doing tremendous and fantastic things, traveling all around the world and fighting all around the country. That I desired to get some of that fight and began studying. Can you hear me?
Yes, you sound much more further away though. Can you try again?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's more muted now.
Can you hear me?
Even worse.
We can hear you. It's just
It's like, yeah, suddenly there are pillows around your device. We can't.
1, 2, 3, 4, testing 1, 2. It's gonna come back in just a
You
moment.
sound even further.
Can you hear me?
Oh, that was good.
There you go. I got you now.
Perfect. Alhamdulillah.
So the enemy has my number, so they know how to shut me down.
I be telling y'all.
So with the three of them, I started studying Soke with Soke to get that fighting from him as well while I was still under Dr. Moses Powell. Okay, so that's it. Now there was a question that you had added.
yes, sir.
The next question that you said was what?
The following question was, and why is he referring to Dr. Moses Powell relevant to this generation of Muslim fighters, warriors, and believers in God?
Well, why is he relevant? He's relevant because he's a product of the Nation of Islam. He's a product of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and his system is not just any system developed by, some Asian. Yes, in fact, his study under Grand Professor Florindo Visitacion, even in that, he said that Doc had something, that out of all of his students, he's the most prolific martial artist or student under him. And he has the most notoriety. Why does he have that? Because he had received the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and he was a warrior for him. And that's why the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, it has been and always have been in love with Doc. And, so what he teaches or what he has taught and what we're teaching now is not something coming from the mind of anyone. Doc told me this. He told me right in front of Grand Professor V one time in the dojo. on Atlantic Avenue where I studied under him. He said, this is my instructor, but Master Fard Muhammad is God. So he was letting me know, and he also had said that what I give you is coming from God. See, so he's the one who gave it to him. So it's so important that we understand that this style of martial arts is not just a style for training, just for the purposes of training in martial arts, but it is a style that is in line with Almighty God Allah, in particular, Master Fard Muhammad and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Nation of Islam. So it's out of that.
Wow. So my prayer for everyone is that like as you're listening, you're hearing. So right now we're learning about this great family tree that exists like within like the Nation of Islam, but within like honestly Black culture and world culture, right? And so the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on a regular, Saturday, like, I think we're unpacking like Closing the Gap, right? And in Closing the Gap, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan speaks so much about the importance of being a good student and what it is to be like a master student, and how a master student wants to prove to their teacher that they understand, and that a master teacher wants the student to surpass them. And so my prayer for everyone is that like you can understand, and even as we're discussing the family tree of martial arts right now, that you can understand and appreciate how the very spirit of it all is applicable in literally any field of endeavor that you're in. And so I'm honestly just so inspired just to hear how, like, we have Professor V, and then he has like a master student, like Dr. Moses Powell, then he has like master students and like companions who come together to form this family that has now become like a whole culture. So like I just want y'all to know, just in terms of history, if you've ever seen like any of those like kung fu movies from like back in the day, or if you see the movies from like back even like the 70s, and suddenly a whole bunch of Black people are interested in like kung fu and martial arts and whatnot. I'm not about to say like we started that whole thing, but I'm just saying we really pushed the culture forward in that way, in ways that we don't want to receive credit for, and we don't just see. So I want to just ask, and we're going to try and like get through as many questions as we can, keeping in mind we only have like an hour with our brother and sister. So, well, why should we train? And if anyone, like whichever one of you might be inclined to answer, Sister Azziza, we'd love to hear from you too, just around, the question is just, why should we train?
Well, training, the most simple answer is to protect yourself and your family. But the training that you receive is essential for that, but it's essential for a lot of other things, which we could break down when we talk about, when we say our creed. The training puts you in a state of mind, number one, to be disciplined in order to be able to affect what it is that you're taught. So the discipline may be on the mat that day, but that discipline spills over into the other areas of your life, as you just spoken about before. You just mentioned how it covers various areas in your life. So the martial arts, why should we train? One, to become better at caring for ourselves, better caring for our families, allowing ourselves to not just be better in our physical activities, but in our mental activities as well. Being able to know how to focus, being able to know how to quickly make changes, how to adapt to our situation, so that we can become better at hearing the things that the natural ear doesn't necessarily hear right away. Being able to see what the natural eye can't see. So martial arts is, yes, it's essential for learning how to defend yourself. Life.
I'm gonna come back.
to advance, to help others.
You know, that's awesome. You know, the physical aspect of martial arts. Well, first of all, martial arts, pulling together, marshaling all that's necessary to defend one's life, oneself. Well, that doesn't start with the physical aspect. It's actually mental. This is a spiritual art that you have to take on the highest level, and you work your way back if you need to use it on that level. But I teach my students all the time that it's not, you know, about the fighting part. You know, it's 90% mental, 10% physical. See, so you have to battle, you know what they say, we've been taught the battle is what? In the sky. Okay, well, the battle being in the sky, it is in your mind, you see. So if you use your mind in a way, see, there is, when we talk, I talk about martial arts, I'll say blocking, okay? There's hard blocking, there is parrying, you know, there's, you know, slipping movements. See, and I talk to my students about how that works in life. If your technique, your physical technique can be translated into actual situations that are, you know, that fate that you face, you and your wife, you know, someone is, you know, whoever the martial artist is, let's just say, you are faced with a person who is saying something hard or strong or troubling to you. The question is, will you take that those words and return it with hard act, you know, where you're trying to break something? Or are you going to allow it to pass by you by slipping it? You know, how are you going to handle it? See, you got to know your blocks, your sweeps. You got to know how to put a person in a lock. And putting a person in a lock doesn't mean a physical lock, but it was putting them in a position where they can't respond, can't move, because you're presenting some level of stress or pain, but not in the hurtful way. It's just that the words that you say may stop a person from being able to move because you said the right thing. You put them in the right position. So, I mean, it's.
Or you put them in the lock where they could do nothing but tell the truth.
Absolutely.
I've seen him do that.
Wow. Wow.
Praise be to Allah. I appreciate, thank you, brother Grandmaster and Sister Azziza. Our next is, and Brother GM, you can answer this one as well, just from the other end of it, but the next one is directed to Sister Azziza. And the question is, what is it like being both wife and student of a Grandmaster?
I was joking about this the other day, wasn't I, Brother Darren? Well, I'll tell you, there's a lot of things involved. One, I have had to assume the responsibility for a lot of things in order to help things to work in the dojo, which pulled me out of being able to physically train all the time. So I had to deal with my own lacks. I don't know what to call it, but when you're busy doing the administrative work and the paperwork and your head is there, and then your body sometimes don't want to respond right on the mat. So, I mean, I've had to deal with that over the years and try to get it together. And then also, you know, I have to learn that in the dojo, that's my instructor. That's the GM. I have to turn off the wife position, the wife attitude. I struggle with that sometimes, right? But I'm catching myself. I'm catching myself more lately. So it's become a beautiful awareness for me when I find that I'm treading outside of the realm right now, but I get drawn back in because I realize that a part of me, my own insecurities and struggles and things like that, may have a different effect, and I have a different way of displaying it with my husband as opposed to my teacher. And him always being my teacher will respond like my teacher in those matters. Unless, of course, I piss him off, and then it's another story. But it definitely has, it's definitely an area that you have to be mindful of. As a wife to her husband, who's an instructor, you have to be mindful that when you say that creed, that we say in our dojo, giving honor and respect to the founders of my system, my teacher, that we must always do that. Of course, we need to always do that every day, all day long with each other anyway, but when your teacher is trying to teach you something and you're struggling with it, you have to stay the student. Okay, you have to stay the student, and you have to respond the student. And I'll just say that because I know that many times I didn't stay the student. I remember testing once, and I didn't expect that we were going to get hit with the shinai, which I had never felt in my life before. And it really took me from the student to the wife. When I got hit with the shinai, the only thing that kept me right there on that mat is because I had a bunch of other sisters that went through it too. And I could not, in my mind, I couldn't wait to get back to being the wife. I couldn't wait. But, we have fun like that because we like what we do, and we know that what we're doing is for our, our betterment. And we just do what we got to do to keep it moving.
Alhamdulillah. I'm so inspired. And so I put it in the chat. So a few things, I don't know if y'all can see in the chat, but just a couple things. So when sister's referring to being tested, like she's referring to going up in a belt rank, like you don't just become a black belt, like, hey, they don't just give you a color, like you have to prove that you know what you know. And the shinai is like a long bamboo sword. If you get hit with it, it hurts. It's not a game. It is not a game out here. And the big whoosh that it makes is like whoosh, whoosh. It's like so this is very real. I just got triggered just now hearing that. Even the word shinai is like a trigger for me. So but so also I just want to flag in the chat. So a sister said that seeing the sisters train during the national training conference and helping other sisters learn the combos that the coaches were teaching us motivated her to start training. And she said she saw Black women in gis for the first time in her life that day.
Wow.
Yeah, right? That's a whole alhamdulillah.
So that was probably her first time seeing grandmaster women that are grandmasters. Right? That's awesome. Yeah, they do it, sister. So can you. Absolutely. Dainty but deadly. Alhamdulillah.
Oh, and on that note, actually, so we have a question from the audience. And this is for, either of you. So what would you recommend for sisters to learn in terms of self-defense? And so an additional question as an addendum to that question, with the rising of human trafficking and kidnapping of young Black women, what precautions would you recommend for us to take?
This is a very serious question, and I don't know if we can give enough time to it, actually, but we have to know the time in which we're in. That's what did the minister do a year's teaching on, the time and what must be done. The time and what must be done. If you don't know what time it is, if you don't know that it is the evening, you won't prepare for rest. If you don't know it's day, so you'll be operating out of sync with time if you don't know what time it is. So if we are looking at the fact that we're coming closer to the end of a world and it's time, and we're still operating like we're still in the world and it has time, you will then not seek training. You'll seek exercise, you'll seek fitness. That's because that's constant. But you won't seek the protection of your life because you don't feel threatened enough to do it. Because what happens when when you're faced with someone being out of sort and now they are acting crazy and you're in the presence. Now you have a feeling that is heightened. Now your senses is heightened, but do you have what is necessary just in case they come at you? Well, we should know that. They say to be forewarned is to be forearmed. Why? Where is the armed coming from? It's coming from your knowledge. You have enough knowledge to know that there is something coming down the pike, something coming down the timeline. So you need to get ready for it. So this is serious. You got to know that they're not talking about sex trafficking. So that you really know what's going on. Listen, there's a situation that I'm aware of. I talked to a brother who actually is someone who he peeped a situation. What do I mean? There was he was outside of a hotel and he saw a sister that was with a number of white men, and they went inside and but she was outside and she was crying.
When you say a sister, you mean like an MGT, or do you mean just like a black woman, or you mean
just a black woman?
Yeah. Yes,
that
sir.
was in a car, and this black woman was approached. The brother he had the courage to just go up and he says, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" And she said, "No." So she had courage too. And she identified to him in that moment that she is someone had kidnapped her. So this was a sex trafficking situation. So what happened is the person started coming outside. He moved back and just didn't make them aware. They had her come inside of the hotel, as I understand it. Now, he waited, he was observing, he waited until they moved off, got into the hotel and got her by the hand or coached her out, and she was taken and turned over to the police. Now, she was letting them know that she was a part of this sex trafficking situation. Do you know what they did to her? They questioned her. They didn't go after the sex traffickers. They asked her a question about, has she given herself to anyone? They arrested her for prostitution. See, so this is something to promote or actually secure the traffickers over the young girl who was in that situation. So this is something real. Now,
and that was probably just because she was a black woman.
And I don't know, because they are doing it to others. But clearly, I think it's the system of trafficking that overpowers even any of them. But we are a major focus in this situation of sex trafficking. So anyway, how do you stop yourself from being captured? I saw in social media, there was a woman, and someone sent it to me. It was a woman, a white woman. It was, well, I couldn't see.
Jogging?
I couldn't see. She was jogging.
I don't know if she's.
I couldn't see if she was white or black, but she was jogging. And it was a car that was moving on her left side while she was jogging in the same direction. The car's over to the far left. There's a man that was there, and when she passes, he started running behind her. Now, it was a casual run behind, and it got to a point where she felt that, and she shifted over to the right, at which point he grabs her. And when he grabs her, now the car door opens on the car while it was still moving forward. But by Allah's grace and permission, she fought, meaning she didn't give up. It seemed like when he was trying to drag her, she threw a kick. He tried to grab her around her body. She pushed off. She then fell on the ground with her head going in the opposite direction. He then grabs her by the leg, but then she kicks. So it looked like it may have kicked him in his upper body or groin or whatever. But the point is, she continued fighting. What if she actually knew something? Now, thank Allah, she had the will to resist. And there was not another person who came up on her. She had the will to resist. But what if she had the information that could have laid this person down, that could have actually killed them if she wanted to? Having the knowledge, to be willing is one thing, but to be willing and able is totally different.
Wow.
All praise is due to Allah. It just goes to show you, we're taught in that moment of being challenged. We call on Allah in a situation like that. But how much better would it be if you had already given Allah something to work with by training? And that way you go into a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of break and a little bit of crack and nose bleeding. So praise be to Allah. Thank you, Brother Gian, for lifting that. The next question is, and this is something that I've actually, and it's come up again in the chat, and so it will be good to share it. How do you maintain such a calm and humble spirit while being a serious warrior? And I'll put an asterisk by that, deadly. In other words, how do you not slip over into becoming arrogant with all that you know?
I tell you, for me, I have examples. There's no one more powerful and deadlier than the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Oh, he is deadly, because anyone that he desires, if the God is on his side, and he is, if he called for the death of someone, it could happen. Now, clearly it could happen if he called and said something and we just felt like he somebody that he didn't like to that degree. It could happen. But more than that, the God is capable of answering his call and does. So for me, seeing his awesome ability and what he has always shown himself to be, humble. And man, I mean, talk about merciful. He is that. And I say, for me, it's easy when I look at them and I keep them. See, when you start thinking about yourself, when you are the object and then you only see yourself, that's when your arrogance come out. Because you believe that you're better than somebody else. When you realize, if you realize that you are, when you look at how Allah can see us, like filthy rags, I mean, our worth in that sense, that we would not try to act like we are more than that. No, I'm here to help and serve. I'm here to be a servant for our people and to our people on behalf of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So it's easy for me. even when someone comes and they're arrogant and they feel like it, I just know that they know not what they do. They don't understand. If they understood, they would do the same thing. You don't have to have a mean face to be able to do damage. You don't have to have that. I don't have to be angry in order to fight good. No, so I can smile and still do my job.
I wish more people where I'm from understood that you don't have to have a mean face to do damage. Yeah.
No, I know.
Wow. Well, in that note then, so like just in terms of like that element of like defense and like being able to carry out, being willing and able. Another question from our audience. So the question is, how do you defend, and Sister Azziza, we love it if you could chime in first on this one. The question is, how do you defend / maintain your spiritual peace in this time?
Well, one thing is making prayer, because I know that when I miss prayer, that it does not set my tone the way it should be. And sometimes I'll think, man, why am I feeling, like just off today? And then I realize, well, you didn't make that Fajr prayer. Fajr prayer for me is so important. Not that the other prayers are not, but that sets the tone for me for the day. And, I think that when we want to address defense, and we're addressing defense for our own self and for others, we have to start with our spirit and our mind. And I would say that that would be like one of the most important things in order to be able to have my spirit in check, in line with Almighty God Allah, so that I can have good thoughts, because with good thoughts come about good things. With my mind stayed where it should be, elevated where it should be, I find myself in the realm of protection from Allah as it is. Give me the other part of the question, because there was something I thought about and it just slipped my mind.
Yes, ma'am. How do you defend / maintain your spiritual peace in this time?
Right. So between the prayer and the communication with like-minded people, so that we can make sure that we exhort one another, and of course, exhorting one another to truth and to patience is very, very helpful and crucial for me. The conversations that will help to bring me to another level, so that I just don't stay stuck where I am, because things change. Nothing stays the same. And it's just like training, consistently. You aren't training consistently just to learn the same things over and over, but to become better at what it is that you're doing, and to learn more and to become better at more. So it's a constant, everyday practice for you to just get better, so that you can not only defend but maintain. When you get to that point where you're where you've got something down, and you've got it down like a habit, then you could really see yourself maintaining a certain thing, and then I have to do that in order to maintain his peace, his space, because if I don't have minds together, then he comes home and he doesn't have it, because I
Went on mute.
No,
Azziza.
the enemy that muted you again. It got too fire. It got too fire. Oh man. Gonna take a second and come back to it. But it.
hear me.
Yes, ma'am. Can you try to speak again?
Okay. What was the last thing you heard?
You said that you have to have it together spiritually, because if you don't, then he comes home and he doesn't have it. And that was the last thing.
He doesn't walk into the environment that he is expecting to walk into because I'm off. You know, I have not created that peaceful home environment. You know, his environment now is not heaven, you know, and so I have to work on that. And when I feel that something is just not, or I'm not where I should be, then I know I have to do something. And the first thing that I could think of is to ask Allah, you know, for the assistance, and that's through prayer. So I hope I answered the entire question.
Praise be to Allah. Yeah, would you like to say something on that one?
What? No, she. That was really very good from her, and I was so into that. I'm telling you, the question is, I have to hear the question again.
But you know, let me just say this to add to that. The minister at the National Training Conference talked about us being ourselves. You know, he talked about us growing into who we really are. And that's really very key too in establishing the type of environment that you want to live in, and the type of environment that is conducive for harmony. And when you're struggling with who you are or being able to be who you are, then you don't really have the environment in which you want to live in. It's not right for you, and then you can't perform like you want to perform. You're not your best self. And having the ability to be who you are frees your mind and your spirit and gives you peace. So then you can create a peaceful environment for yourself and your family. And that, to me, when he said that, I was like, wow, that is such beautiful teaching. It's so right on time for not just me, but for a lot of people that I know and I talk to. And we say it all the time, you know, be your best self. But to hear the minister talk about, you know, being who you are was just so, I mean, coming from the man of God, I mean, that to me was like, okay, that's the writing on the wall. You know, that will open, that's like the key to open up the door for peace and harmony and for success.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you, Mama Azziza, for that. GM, we have enough time for about 2 more questions. Definitely want to respect your time. This next question is, in the martial art, you have your basic stances, your foundational stances, your foundational blocks. Your horse stance, your forward leaning stance, backward leaning stance, cat stance, you rise and block, inside, outside, downward. These are like foundation, like roots. What is the relationship between having that strong foundation in the root of the martial arts and then the root? And
the root of
having those foundational stones, martial arts, in relationship to having those stones in a word, specifically the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
But this is also just another. It's representing the point that I made earlier when, you know, we look at techniques. You know, it's about life situations. You see, so foundation, to work on your foundation, how strong is your foundation? Can we survive? You know, so in that, you know, your foundation, what is that? That's the teachings. So do we have a foundation in the teachings? You know, how do we believe? You know, well, we know that this dragon's tail is going to curl up and take down 1/3 of the stars of heaven. And what did the minister say that was? Those are scientists. So we're talking about where is or where is the foundation that they should have? And if it's going to take that out of them, how are we going to survive? Well, the question is, it'll go back to where my wife was just mentioning in terms of knowing who you are. See, when you know who you are, then you know what you're lacking, you know what you need, and you will reinforce yourself with the foundational things that's necessary. Do you know who you really are? Well, you start looking at yourself as an individual, but are you looking at yourself as God? And if you're God and you see yourself as being that, then you got to see what kind of God are you? What are you God over? What kind of strength do you have and knowledge do you have to support that? So anyway, in terms of foundational techniques, we need to do that. Ikra, read in the name of thy Lord. Okay, so we have to study and gain the knowledge that's necessary, but we got to believe and get to the point that we absolutely know. And it goes beyond belief, but you know that this is the truth, because you know that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has already proven the truth to us. There's no need to question it. He's proven it in so many different areas and ways. So anyway, yes, having a foundation and working on foundational techniques is important, because when you have a strong foundation, then you got someone coming after you. Your foundation is what's going to keep you. I say that basics is what you use, is what we build up and we strengthen. We strengthen our basics, because advanced movement is just modified basics. So if you take basic movements, the basic foundation, and certain modifications to them is.
They got your chat again.
Oh
Gia.
no. Oh no. See that we gonna need some self-defense on the Zoom. Like we need some Zoom self-defense, like how to stop from getting blocked with the mute.
Can you hear me now?
Says that you're off mute, but we can't hear you just
Can you
yet.
hear us?
Nope, you sound far away, far away,
Can you
far
hear
away.
us? Before.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, okay. Wow.
The last thing we heard you say was the basics of the foundation that you build upon, because advanced is just modified basics.
Well, you got the gist of it then. That's it. That's it.
Sure, all praises due to Allah. So question, how are you feeling in terms of time as well? The time is 7:02. In terms of an hour, that means we have about 6 minutes left. How are you feeling?
So you can go. You can continue.
Yes, sir. In that case, we have 2 questions left in the queue.
Okay.
So you both have spoken about, like, how important it is to be yourself and to know yourself in any element of the work in martial arts, but also in life. Do you have any more that you would like to share in regards to the process or what it takes to come to know yourself?
Well, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, what I say, to how do you get to know yourself is through being tested. You really don't know yourself until you get tested. So you might as well start putting yourself through tests to help you to understand better who you are. So you got to observe, yourself, and really Allah always places you in positions to get a chance to look and see who you are. And when we study and when we put ourselves in the art or the training of martial arts, we submit ourselves to a teacher. And what happens is the teacher begins to teach, but he also tests you. And Allah tests us in our everyday life. Something happens between you and your wife, and how you respond lets you know, did you pass or fail? You see, so then if you failed, you got to put yourself through the test again, or you look forward to the test now, and because you saw your failure, you should be able to pass this time. So it's just about, again, placing yourself in the training, constantly allow yourself to be trained, to be taught, and to receive the necessary, words, of course. There's a thing we call supreme wisdom, right? But in the beginning, it's just supreme knowledge. But wisdom is the application of that knowledge. So you see, really, it's supreme wisdom because it's given to us and it has already been worked out. So we have it, but the question is, are we working it out? So it can become supreme wisdom for us through our application of that knowledge and information.
Alhamdulillah. Well, Sister Azziza, I saw you leaning in. Did you want to chime in on that one before we go to the final question?
Well, something he said made me think about when he said knowing yourself. There's and he used an example of a wife and a husband situation. When you are in the training of the art, and you realize, okay, I'm having difficulty in this area. Maybe I'm having difficulty in remembering the katas. I'm having difficulty with this roundhouse kick or this side kick. And you could see that for yourself. So you know what it is that you have to work on. And because you desire to be better at it and to be the best at it, so you work on it. Oftentimes we don't do that in our relationship. We see there's a problem, but we don't necessarily see that the problem is with us, so we don't work on it. We're waiting for the other person to work on it. But I mean, just when he said that, it made it so clear to me that these things just can be transposed from this area to the other area. So wherever there is a problem, work is necessary, but it doesn't mean that one person needs to work. So you find that you can become better if you work at something. Even if you think you're really good at it, you keep working at it and you just become better and better. And I'm really talking to myself right now because, there's so many things that I can think of that my husband has had to tell me over and over and over on the mat. And I'm wondering why my brain doesn't get it, or even if my brain can understand what he's saying, but my body's not in sync, what's the problem? But the problem just persists because I'm not putting in enough work. So whatever we do, we got to work at it. Just got to keep working.
Alhamdulillah. So, and there's like so many things happening. I'm getting DMs. People with beautiful teaching sisters, self-examination is necessary. Sis is saying that you need like a women's group or a book. You need to write a book, sis. Like, y'all, but honestly, please, to the both of y'all, please do that. Just please and thank you. Y'all heard it here first. That we'll get to have some of this in writing someday, inshallah. I'm just putting it out there with the prayer that it'll come back in the form of something, leafable. And so to come to the last question in the queue, and thank you to everyone who's asked the question. We hope that this has been, it's insightful for you, I hope it's been insightful for you as it's been for me. I'm over here low key on the verge of tears, but we have Brooklyn street cred to keep up, so just gonna keep moving. Those are the last questions, actually two, and it's for the both of you. It could be separate together, follow your heart with this one, but can we ask them to give us a beautiful story with the minister? And what was a good piece of advice that the minister gave you that you wish to share?
I mean, so much with the minister. I'll give you this story. You've heard the minister talk about when we were in the Middle East and the people that were there, and we were getting the minister out, and they were just wanting to touch him. And, you know, we began to do what we needed to do to keep them from touching him, because it wasn't, you know, it was the kind of touching that if they had touched him, they would have wanted to keep a piece, you know, that kind of touching. And I'm holding the minister. I'm actually on one side. I believe I'm on the minister's right side, and I got him by the waist with one hand, and I'm handling the other side with all of the reaching from that point. And there was someone on the opposite side of me, I believe. In fact, I believe that was Brother Rashad, was on the other side. But one of the beautiful, what happened that was beautiful for me is that in the chaotic period where, I mean, it was chaotic. It was, when I say chaotic, it wasn't that we didn't have control. We had control. We were moving him. It was the things that we had to do, striking hands and arms and all of that kind of thing was happening. But I'm always observing the minister while I'm doing my job. I'm doing what I need to do. I'm observing him, and the ministers being at one with the flow, he was flowing, even though he wasn't absent communicating. Don't hurt them. Don't hurt them. Don't. And so he's telling us what not to do, yet he's not turning and stopping, and he wasn't doing that. He was communicating, yet he was allowing us to move him where we needed to move him. That I saw that was powerful. That was high level martial arts. That was flowing. I have not been with one man, anyone else, that have shown me his ability to move in such a way that he is moving with those who are with him, and being aware of his surroundings, and he has control, yet he allowed us to do what we needed to do. And listen, that's an incredible feat. It's very, very serious. Now know that you're the object of everybody's desire. They saw you as an angel. They saw you as a prophet. They saw you in whatever light they saw you, which was all profound. Yet, and they wanted you. He cared for them, yet he's communicating with us, but he's still following our flow to get him out. It was incredible. Now, I'm telling you, it's very hard to do that. Very hard to do that. And that was just a beautiful thing for me. That's one out of 1,000, you know, situations that I had.
Thank you. I mean, wow. I'm over here saying, wow. Oh my goodness. But thank goodness for that mute button in this case. Sister Azziza, would you like to chime in with thoughts on that? Any advice from him or stories from him that you want to share?
Well, I recently had the opportunity to talk to the minister on his birthday over the phone. And one of the things that I could share is how he spoke about my husband and who he saw my husband is. I need a little help from him though, because he made reference to him as, and I always forget the term. He made reference to you in the scriptures as being the one that is hidden, who he hides his power, but he's very, very powerful. There's a particular
horns in his hand.
Yes, the horns in his hand, but
and he hid his power.
And he said that's who your husband is. And I thought about it and I said, you know, the minister is so right and exact, because so many people just don't equate him for who he is unless they know him, unless they've seen him in action, you know. But he's not the one to flaunt. He's not the one to expose himself, and he's not the one to be arrogant in all that he knows or can do. So I understood exactly what the minister was talking about, but that in itself just sets a stage for a lot of things that I believe, you know, that are going to happen, and how a person like himself will be able to be used for the benefit of the man of God.
This is maybe a little off that particular question, but it's something that I feel that, you know, I really want to say. And that is, in this time, well, in 1975, you know, when the nation fell, and all that transpired, I looked at the ministers that were there, and I wondered why would they, you know, turn from the teaching that they had, you know, and just flip. And they have had, you know, 20, 30 years, you know, they had been doing this, you know. So I wondered as a child this, how could that happen like that? Okay, fine. We go through all of this period of time as it relates to the fall of the nation, and you know, my particular experience when it came to the nation, or I should say, to that particular 1975 event when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad got away. You understand, but it appeared that he had died. What I'm going to say is that we have to recognize that, one, it didn't happen. If we don't have a belief and even knowledge of the fact that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did not die, if we don't believe that when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan departs from our presence, you may be caught in the same situation as many were caught in 1975 and beyond, believing that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad died. See, you have to go back to believing that so that you can absolutely believe when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan departs that he did not die. He did not, because the devil is going to say what he want to say. You see, he's going to do and say what he wants to say, but the knowledge of that, you see, you have to be strong with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad so that you don't have to be as strong with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because you already believe, you already know. So now when this happens, here comes the enemy again, trying to set up for us to be lost in the same way. I'm saying, don't believe the hype. Don't believe it, because we already know that it did not happen when it was presented. And we have to be strong with that so that we know that you can't trick me this time. You can't make me believe that his presence is gone because I believe him. So if he say right now that it's not going to be that he is going with the Father, then I believe that, and I'm gonna hold on to that forever by Allah's grace and permission. That's something I just wanted to say.
Forever, period. I mean, that's the most like mic droppable thing to me. Like, I mean, is anything else y'all want to say on that note? I see your sisters giving thumbs up, like just period. That's it. And anything else? Question mark before we wrap up. Final thoughts.
That's it for me. I thank you. I thank Brother Darren and all of the team that has set this up. All of these are for the development and the benefit of our nation. And I thank you for being a part of that. I thank you for having the spirit and the attitude to and the not just attitude, but having the heart to want to present the beauty of our nation, the knowledge of our nation, and to help change the condition of the minds in our nation and strengthen the minds in our nation, as well as others that may come on to your podcast. I thank you for that. You know, my student, well, both of you, my student, and my niece. You know, man, y'all. I'm so excited just to know and be a part of this. You know, but Darren's been trying to get me for a minute. Yep. He took another route, you know what I'm saying? Knew that I would submit to my niece like that. I didn't know. Oh, you got me on that one. Beautiful. Please give mom and dad my love too.
Oh, my mom and dad are here. Brother James and Charlene are here. I don't know if you can see. I'm gonna try and dad's waving at can I pin him for a second? There he is. There he is. He's waving.
Okay. There he is. I see you. That's the man that anytime you want to look, anytime you look and want to you're looking for those who've been in the nation for 1,200 years. You know, that's who you see selling papers.
Oh, praise the due to Allah. Yeah, sure enough. Here we go. We're just gonna, there we go. So, and also I do just want to say, so we're just getting more and more messages too, just, you know, people saying in the chat, the training was absolutely amazing. Everyone kept saying it felt like a Savior's Day. If you're on the call and you haven't gotten to experience the Savior's Day yet, picture thousands of Black people, or actually people of all, you know, creeds and class and colors, like coming into the same space, centering on excellence for the sake of spiritual edification, all united and headed in the same direction for a whole, it's like heaven. It's like heaven for like a weekend. So just wanted to give you that feedback as well, and how grateful we are for the great work that y'all do on behalf of the world, honestly, and on behalf of us all, to take us into like a better culture and way of being. Every time I'm around like y'all and I'm in the spirit, like I get introduced to why it's called martial arts. Yeah, because there is martial science, right? But like the art aspect of martial arts, like seeing you whip together like a technique is like seeing you whip together a recipe, and you're like, do I go for the throat? I'm gonna go for the stomach. You know, I'll work it from there. And honestly, just seeing like the mastery at work has been so very beautiful. So I'm gonna pass it to you, Brother Darren, if there's anything else you want to say before we close out. But just thank y'all, and thank you everyone for your time as well, for being here with us. Hope you've gotten something out of it. If you're vibing with this, can we get some affirmation, like a heart, a message in the chat? You can't come off mute, sorry. Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
Also, there is a question. Do y'all have does the National Training Seminar or does VSK Jiu-Jitsu accept donations?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Can
Absolutely.
you tell us the website? We could put it in the chat, or how might we go about that?
How would you want them to do that?
It's you know, I appreciate all of it. What I would like for everybody to do, though, I would like for them to donate to you, to what you do on behalf of us. And if you appreciate what we have done, I want you to donate to this Masters podcast here, you know, and that will be a benefit to us.
Wow. All praise is due to Allah, and thank you. On Sister Anissa's behalf, she's also putting in the chat, just all praise is due to Allah, double exclamation point. Thank you so much. I have put Sister Anissa's Cash App in the chat, Ace Prodigious, $ Ace Prodigious. If you want like the PayPal information too, we got that as well. Thank you very, very much. And Brother Darren also just put in the chat, www.vskuniversity.com. So if you want to, you know, train at your own pace, there's a whole library of training and videos and instruction that you can sign up for at www.vskuniversity.com. And the link is right there. You can just click it, boop. Are there any other announcements, right? Just the team is sending y'all love too. Thank you so much to you both. Are there any other announcements or things, Brother Darren, before we close out?
No, I would just like to say thank you, Brother GM, Sister Azziza, for giving us your time, sharing your wisdom and your light. And I know the group and all of those here have benefited from it. We would just leave the body with some key points. It's important to train because there is no mystery God. And although, anything is possible, Allah typically works within the realm of mathematics. And Yahweh Elijah Muhammad said he can perform miracles, but if we're not doing what we're supposed to do, then how can we expect the God to show up? So let's take our training seriously, because we are, as GM said, we are in a very dark hour and a dark time, and it's only getting darker. We will be tried, our faith will be tested. And again, when Satan run up, we want to be able to break a nose or a rib or an arm or wrist or whatever the case, and put him down like he needs to be put down.
I love how we say it so casually, just like and that's just like casual language here. Yes, yeah. Just but do what it takes to defend yourself. So I want to just say on behalf of the team, thank you for coming through to the master call, and also to Uncle Abdul Azziz and Sister Azziza. Love y'all so much. Hopefully we'll have you back. Please do come back and say hi.
Would it be to close out with the creed and then we can do the prayer?
Okay, Brother Darren is inspired. Y'all about to, okay, we can us in the chat. Wow. Okay. I defer. So if y'all want to just get more into the spiritual spirit, I think that's a great idea. Yeah, y'all about to hear the VSK creed. Brother Darren, I'm passing it to you because Zoom's not gonna let us all say it together.
Yeah, it looks like they're frozen.
Yeah. Are you still... See, I told y'all, when in doubt. I'm not even gonna finish that thought.
Okay, wait a minute. They're still there. Just give it a second.
Mm-hmm. It's a moment before we close out, so we can close out well.
When in doubt, blame the white man. Absolutely. Thousands of people on the Zoom all over the world. Don't never go wrong. Believers, talk about the teachers, and all kind of technical difficulties come up. Okay. It seems like they're still frozen. All right. Well, listen, this is how the VSK Creed goes. At the end of every class, we close out. As we walk in peace, and fear will not prevail. We are not the aggressors, but if we are attacked, we fight with those who fight with us. And if we must fight, we fight to the death, sir or ma'am. The following is, what is a man of woman of martial arts? The response, sir or ma'am, a man or woman of martial arts is a man or woman who thinks at all times, one who possesses speed, form, technique, power, gracefulness, humility, and sincerity, sir or ma'am. And the last is, I promise to remember the Creator in all the things that I do. I promise to always show honor and respect to the founders of my system and my teacher. I promise to overcome all of my difficulties. Never give up, never surrender, eye to eye, heart to heart, us. Praise be to Allah. And remember, in the Holy Quran, there's two things that's prescribed: fasting and fighting. So, nuck if you buck. We can.
It's in the Quran, yeah. Nuck if you buck. Word. It's honestly. Yeah.
All right. If there be nothing else, we can close out in prayer.
Oh, there's a quick question. So, and also, brother Abdul Aziz and sister Azziza have put it in the chat, so you can text sisters to 74121 to join GM's class. You can also text VSK to 74121 if you want to join and get the notifications for when class is happening as well. So just want to announce that so that everyone has it. And yes, this will be available on YouTube soon. There's a question about what is us. Us is, or technically osu is from Japanese, and basically it's what we say in the dojo when we greet each other. It's the greetings, it's the way we close out. Yeah, so that's why we say us at the end of that. Hope that helps.
Us. All right. If there be nothing else, we can close out in prayer. Attention, prayer. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Master of this day of judgment in which we now do live. Thee alone do we serve, and Thee alone do we beseech for help. O Allah, guide us on the straight path, the path of those upon whom You have bestowed Your favors, and not the path of those upon whom Your wrath is brought down, or those who go astray after they've heard Thy teachings. O Allah, we ask for Your spirit, we ask for Your mind, we ask for Your will, to be able to meet and overcome any obstacles that come in our path, and to give us the wherewithal that if we need to do all that we need to go home at the end of the day. We pray this prayer in the name of Your exalted Christ, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and his Messiah, the honorable brother, Minister Farrakhan. Ameen.
Cool. So love y'all very much. See you soon, inshallah. And assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.